Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. How is it going today? It is Thursday, July 30th, 2026. And first things first, my name is Haley Barbetti, aka Powerful Hippie on Instagram, YouTube. This is my Powerful podcast. It's all built on power, not just powerlifting. Yes, I'm a competitive powerlifter. And we're going to get into all that today because there's so much to cover. But today is also Sir Arnold Schwarzenegger's 79th birthday. So this shirt is in honor of him. He is Mr. OG. Arnold, thank you so much for inspiring me and so many people in the health and fitness space. I listened to your podcast, and I signed my parents up for your newsletter every day and everything. So it just goes to show the legacy, the commitment that you have to this community, and I just really appreciate that. So happy birthday. We all appreciate everything that you continuously do for the fitness world. Again, thank you so much for joining. Today's episode is all about powerlifting issues. Specifically, we're going to start with the IPF. I'm going to go into it. It's been a while since I've done a podcast, and you know what, besides travel and everything, there was a reason. I actually had another episode that I was going to record today all about getting over my imposter syndrome of becoming a personal trainer and coach full-time, or like part-time now is my main job and stuff besides adjuncting. But something recently caught my attention on social media in the powerlifting world, and even though I'm in it, I'm also a little bit out of it. It's been a while since I've competed. I personally haven't competed in a while, since 2022, but this is something that just needs to be really understood, and I stand with people that are affected by it, so we're just going to go into that. But again, I have been a competitive powerlifter, haven't competed since 2022, which was USPA drug tested nationals in Atlanta. And even I had a stupid thing happen, didn't really think about it, but now it's kind of like everything that's going on, even though that was USPA, not IPF, I'm kind of like triggered. I'm like, was that done on purpose? I don't know. Like, now a lot of people in the powerlifting community are like, well, am I being gypped just because of how I look? Because that should have nothing to do with my strength abilities. And that's why we are so frustrated in the powerlifting community, because this kind of stuff, it just pulls down the sport and it makes people mad. And I'm not saying I was retired from powerlifting, but I didn't know if I wanted to compete ever again. I've competed 3 times in meets, and then like sanctioned meets like USAPL, USPA, drug tested, but I've also done like little local meets and challenges like deadlift and bench only stuff. So it's been fun, but I've just been so busy, and I haven't had the love, I would say, or like the desire to get back into it. So I started competing in powerlifting in 2017, and I was at Florida State University getting my bachelor's degree, starting my master's degree, and then my first thing that I ever did was like a full USAPL meet at Capital City Barbell, and then a deadlift competition that I, at the time, my boyfriend, now my husband, I prepped him for his first USAPL drug-tested powerlifting competition, same thing, Capital City Barbell, and I was on the FSU weightlifting club, which is now I think an intramural sports or a team. Like, that's so cool, because powerlifting and strength and conditioning, like it's really cool, and it's just so much fun to be around. And that's why we as a community now need to raise our voices and bring the sport back to where we want it to be, because it's so impactful, and it's really made a big impact on my life, becoming just a well-rounded human being and trying to help other people find their own strength and power, for positivity and for health and fitness and mental health especially. So I hate when people are like, oh, powerlifting's not a sport or whatever, because fine, maybe not for you, but it's given me so much perspective. And it's given me so many opportunities, friendships, businesses, work opportunities, relationships. Like, I mean, when I sit back and think about what has transpired since I started powerlifting in 2017, it's been like 9 years, even though I've taken some time and I've gone back to graduate school and I've gotten married and I started my professional career as a teacher and academic advisor and now college professor. Like, it's always kind of been in the background. I also started the UNF Powerlifting Club when I was at UNF starting my master's degree in 2022, but when I graduated, I don't really know what happened, unfortunately, because I was done. handed the torch to the president at the time, and they kind of passed it around. And so anyway, I've been in the community in the background, but it just hasn't been like I've had a dying, like, oh, I need to compete again. Because to be honest, I mean, what happened to me in 2022 made me kind of need to take some time. So I'm going to talk about that at the very end because that's not as important. But I just want to let you know, like, I myself have had an issue with judges or refs or volunteers, spectators, spotters, loaders. I've also been a spotter and a loader. It's not an easy job. And I was just, I don't think I was spotting, but I was loading. So I was putting plates on the barbell for the lifters before they actually lifted on the platform. So it's not an easy job, but I was just doing it at a state. It was USAPL Collegiate States. I think it was 2023. I could be wrong. It was either 2022. No, I think it was 2023. But I was well versed in understanding, and the cool thing is there's an app called Bars Loaded, and it's like shows you what plates you need. So as long as you know how to look at colors and count plates, like spotting and loading is not hard. I'd say loading is a little bit easier than spotting, but if you know how to spot, I'm just giving you a backstory, by the way, for everything. If you know how to spot, it's not hard. But like even at a state meet that I was in, there were pretty high standards. Like you had to know your stuff and be very well versed before they even let you spot or load. You had to go through like a whole practice session. And I was a volunteer, but I was getting paid. So there's like so much controversy to what happened at the IPF World Championships. So let's get into that because I don't want to hold back anymore. But I just wanted to give you a background of where I'm coming from. I've been part of the community. I've done a lot, and that's why I'm so deeply saddened, frustrated, and confused. And I needed time once I found out. I think I found out this past week about what happened at the IPF World Classic Open Powerlifting Championships in Lithuania. But I had to kind of like really take my time to understand what happened because it's so not only scary and frustrating, just shocking beyond measure. And I've been so part of this community for so long that to see things like this just makes me feel just like gross. Like we can do so much better. And I know organizations and federations probably are, but without further ado, let's talk about it. All right. So when I was doing research, I was on YouTube, I was watching videos, I was even going on Instagram, like on certain people's profiles who were speaking up, who were actually physically at this competition in Lithuania. It took place in June, but it wasn't until this past week where other powerlifters were coming forth about their experiences, and maybe because the IPF just released like a statement, and I'm going to read the statement. But it's just like, why are we just now hearing about this? It's been over a month because the World Classic Open Powerlifting Championships in Lithuania took place from June 13th to June 21st. It's July 30th, practically August, y'all. So I don't know. I'm not going to just gesture, but like if you can't tell, where is it? Right there. I have a master's in communication management. So when things like this happen, it's like strategic communication is so important. You got to get on it or people are going to just start making up their own stories. And that's kind of what's happening. But I don't know. I don't know why we're just now hearing about this. I think personally, again, this is just anecdote. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion from what I've researched and read and watched on YouTube and read and Googled and IPF statements and stuff. I feel like there was some controversy just because maybe people wanted to assume that this spotter who was spotting someone who was squatting 700 pounds, maybe they just assumed that this person just messed up and put their leg under this, the weight, which is incorrect spotting, number one. But maybe they just assumed that it was just bad spotting. Either way, maybe they were just quiet because they were trying to figure it out. But the individual who was spotting this athlete came forth on social media and started making awful, racial, stereotypical, just like horrible, disgusting comments. And I don't even say stereotypical, that's not the right word, but like they were stereotyping in general, right? And they were just being racist and saying disgusting things. And they have been banned. They have been since banned. But it's just like, I don't know what really happened, but this is just an injustice. And this is just so wrong. So for those that are maybe not in the powerlifting world, because I had to look everything up, I've never really done a lot of investigation. I didn't watch this last competition, which I should have, but I've been kind of out of powerlifting, so I haven't been watching, like the Sheffield or the IPF Championship, World Championship, which, by the way, you have to be like an elite level lifter in the USAPL, which is like the drug tested organization for powerlifting. And you have to be invited to this. It's like an invite only based on your total and like your dot score or world score, or whatever metric they use. I'd have to look that up. But it's a very big deal to get invited. It's like the top of the top, okay? So the IPF stands for the International Powerlifting Federation. And this is like the main global, like international, global, right, governing body for the sport of powerlifting. It was founded in 1972. It sets official rules. It runs the world championships, enforces strict drug testing policies for lifters, not just in the United States. It's for everybody. It's international, right? So these are huge, like every country, kind of like if the Olympics could have powerlifting. So it is a big deal. And because the IPF is like the largest powerlifting organization in the world and connects so many countries and groups, it has really strict standards, like, for using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs against that, right? So, and then they also have strict judging and techniques and differences for raw lifting or if you're lifting with equipped. So, like, there's so many different rules, and this is like supposed to be the standard for powerlifting. Because it's international, it's not just in one country, it's every country that can compete. So they comply with the WADA, which stands for the World Anti-Doping Agency, again, holding a Tier 1 code compliant status because they are, up there in sports world, where I don't think we're covered on ESPN like powerlifting is. It's not in the Olympics. Bench pressing, to my knowledge, is in the Special Olympics, which is really cool. But like basically what I'm trying to get here and hit home to you is that in powerlifting, there's local competitions that are not sanctioned. So just like someone has a competition like best bench press, right? And then there's competitions that are to the next standard like USAPL, USPA, drug tested, non-drug tested. They have those too for untested lifters. And like and then you can qualify at one of those types of competitions to go to a national competition. And then if you qualify at a national competition, you can go to an international competition. And like, there's so many hoops to jump through, but typically athletes do have to pay to play. I had to pay when I went to USPA raw nationals, drug tested raw nationals in Atlanta. I mean, we paid like $1,000 just to get there between food and travel and hotel and all that jazz. And I didn't even place in the top 3 in my class, which was fine because it was my first time doing a national competition. I placed, I think, 4th or 5th, I think. I can't remember. I was in, oh my God, 75 kilogram? Bro, it's been too many years. I need to look. I think it was 75 kilogram. So anywho, it was 165. I know I was in the 165 class. So I've been around, right? And right now this controversy is just coming to light, I think, because social media. And that's why people can say whatever they want about social media, but it is inherently important to shed light on people who are abusing power and who are being racist and using hate speech and are trying to tear people apart, because that's not what this community is built on. And powerlifting is kind of not literally a niche sport, but it's not in the Olympics. It's not really covered on like ESPN or national sports channels or anything, to my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong about that too, but it's a great sport. It has so much involvement, and I think that it could have more involvement if the regulations and organizations in charge just had better, screening processes. And I'm going to get into what they could change, but it happened during this time to a lifter named Sunita Mullah, and there was another volunteer spotter loader. I couldn't find his Instagram. I think it was deleted. His name was like Eustania or something. And so basically what happened is this. During the third squat attempt, so this was Sunita's third squat attempt, she was attempting 334.5 kilograms, which equivalates to 737.4 pounds for a all-time world record. Over 700 pounds, y'all, she was squatting. Really crazy. Like, I just want to squat half that. She is amazing and so talented. But during that attempt, it seemed like many people noticed that the spotter to, I think it was the right of her, behind her, like next to her, closest next to her, appeared to position himself so that like he had his knee, I forget which knee it was his left knee, I think, literally under the weight. So when the barbell comes down, this is for people who don't know powerlifting, when the barbell comes down, it's because the lifter is trying to lift and hit depth. That is a proper ruling. You have to go, I believe it's below knee crease or hip crease. I have to look up the IPF records, but usually it's below knee or hip crease or both. Usually you have to go below parallel and break that to get good squat depth. But he had his knee so that it literally hit the weights on the right side of the barbell and it stopped it, which is illegal, number one, but people didn't seem to catch on until way after the fact. And that's crazy because not only could it have dropped, because on one side is like almost 300 something pounds, right? Or yeah, 300 pounds. So one side of the bar alone is 300 pounds. That could have landed on his knee and that could have been a whole nother thing. So that's crazy that he even did that. But shortly after this attempt, a lot of screenshots and videos and stuff, because I believe was on YouTube or like a streaming platform. Maybe it was IPF's website or platform or a YouTube channel, but screenshots from this actual meet were starting to circulate on Instagram, especially in social media. And then the person who did that intentionally came out and said, I did that because I am a racist and I blah, 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 blah. Like all these crazy, disgusting things. And the comments have now been like reported, flagged, deleted, but people have had screenshots of that. And there's lots of world record powerlifters who save those screenshots, comment on screenshots. So now they're circulating on Instagram and social media forever and ever and ever. And this guy has received a lifetime ban because he did this intentionally. Okay. So it's very clear that he did this intentionally to sabotage this lifter's world record attempt and did it because the lifter happens to be a black female and said that he does not like black people and he's very racist against people, I guess, maybe who are not white, which is not necessarily black people, but any person of color, right? It's just unbelievable in 2026, unfortunately, that people exist like this, but then are involving themselves in a community that we need every walks of life in this community. We need women, we need people of color, different religions, ethnicities, cultures. Like it's a very dynamic community. And I'm trying not to cry because like I could totally get super emotional about that, but like LGBTQ plus diversity is one of the foundations of powerlifting. This is not a sport for one singular person. That would be so effing boring, by the way. So if that's your ideology, belongs in the trash. That's disgusting. Get out of here. Powerlifting doesn't want you. We are a community built by strength and power, which means we rely on each other's help and support for resilience. And I just, that's why this episode needed to come out because I cannot believe this. And if I don't speak about this, I am just like, the silence is violence because this cannot happen again. And this is not the first time that some sketchy stuff has gone down in powerlifting. And that's why I'm so mad. Okay. It's just like, this is ruining the sport, or at least ruining our trust in the sport, I should say. And not necessarily ruining the sport, but ruining the trust. And that's what we need to hit home about. Now, 3 days ago, which if this podcast airs on the 31st of July, not the 30th, because depends on my editing, the IPF released an official statement 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, depending on when this is being streamed, July 27th. And they said this in response. Okay, the IPF is aware of the incident involving an individual serving as a volunteer spotter/loader during the 2026 IPF World Classic Open Powerlifting Championship in Lithuania. The IPF unequivocally, I can't speak today, unequivocally condemns racism, discrimination, and hateful conduct in all of its forms. Such behavior has no place within the IPF or the global powerlifting community. We acknowledge and commend the Lithuanian Powerlifting Federation for its prompt and decisive response to this matter, including its immediate action to permanently ban the individual from participation within the federation. In addition, the IPF will coordinate with the relevant IPF commissions, the IPF safeguarding officer, and the IPF championships team to identify opportunities to strengthen and recruitment, screening, accreditation, and oversight of volunteers supporting IPF events. The IPF remains steadfast in its commitment to equality, inclusion, integrity, and fair play. Racism, discrimination, and hate have no place in the sport. The IPF extends its support to everyone affected by this incident. And by the way, since this all has kind of come out on social media, multiple lifters have now come forth, not just Sunita, saying that they also think that their lift was impacted or could have been impeded or impacted by this volunteer spotter intentionally, because they saw their videos and it was sketchy. And I don't know. I just more is developing, more is coming out, and I'm waiting to see and understand, everything that's going to come out. But here's why the powerlifting community really is so upset. Besides just the fact that this is crazy behavior, it's so many concerns, right? Spotters and loaders they're an athlete, right? So spotters and loaders are helping the athlete, and the athletes they trust their safety, because if not, they could get hurt or they could hurt somebody else. So if a spotter intentionally interferes with an athlete's lift, it really undermines everything that the athlete has worked for in the sport. And then you add in the addition, not just the safety piece, but the allegations of racist motivation. That's a serious issue in any sport. But to possibly put someone in danger intentionally because of discrimination and athlete welfare, we are so wow, because this is just crazy. This is just so disappointing, and I'm so interested to see really what the IPF is going to do moving forward, because that's, I think, what they're doing. I mean, the IPF did say in their statement they're committed to safeguarding, meeting with different officers in the compliance and part of their team to try to see how they can improve the screening process, I guess, for volunteers. They really do need background checks, or just when someone wants to become a coach or like a judge for USAPL. I don't really know much about other organizations, USPA, USAPL. They have to go through a whole process, and I think it includes screening and maybe fingerprints and stuff. That's what this should entail at the national and international level. I mean, this is not just a little backyard meet, man. This is a competition of the top athletes in the world for world records. I can't believe it. Okay, so as far as what I think the IPF and other organizations really need to consider, so, there's so many organizations, but I'm just going to kind of blanket it all out. Not that other organizations are not already doing this, right? They might be, they probably are, but just to make sure that this is really solid in all organizations, because this is going to keep happening. And it's going to keep happening in any sport: Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit, high rocks, bodybuilding, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Safety protocols are important in every sport. So I think that training and background checks are really important. Also, mandatory anti-discrimination training and removal of any kind of person that uses hate speech of any kind. And social media hate speech should count too, because there's a difference between hate speech and freedom of speech, okay? We do not tolerate hate speech on any levels. Also, even though these were volunteers, they were getting paid. So I don't understand, it's not that they just grab someone off the street. They have experience in powerlifting. They've been a spotter or a loader before at the championships. I think he was a spotter the year prior too. So it's this person has been now spotting athletes for multiple championship world record possibilities, and he is a threat to the community. So regardless of being paid or not, they need to have a lot of experience and trust, and they need to showcase that of some way, somehow. Because at the highest level where medals and world records are on the line, volunteers are one thing, but they need to have a selected list of people who are knowledgeable or experts who have gone through the background checks, the screening process, the proper training and technique that, can exhibit or at least explain how to spot someone in a correct fashion, or how they load the bar, like all these little things. There needs to be some improvement, because clearly this is not great. Because even if this wasn't a racially driven problem, he could have just done this incorrectly because he forgot or wasn't thinking or had improper training. Both situations just show you how important it is for the IPF and other organizations to take safety, physical and mental, all into consideration, because it's very important, obviously. So luckily there was video for this, but it's like in the video review, the video didn't come out until later on. I just don't understand. So this is just, I think everybody is frustrated because it's just like a month after this even happened, and then I don't know if she's gonna be able to try her attempt again. Like, I don't know what's going on. This is now where I am. This is kind of the ending of the episode, because now, does this person, Sunita, or any of the other people that might have had an issue with their lift, are they going to be able to get a relift attempt? Are they going to be able to try for a world record again in a fair and safe environment? Do they even want to? This is frustrating. This is just crazy. So, we are a strong community, physically and emotionally and mentally. We stand together, and when it comes to injustices, like, we can't stand by that. We have to speak about it. We have to write local and national and international, whatever we need to do to get people's attention, to say that, you commenting a month later and then not saying what you're going to do or how you're going to correct this specific incident, besides banning this individual, which is great. That's a step in the right direction. But other issues need to, come to light too. So for me specifically, I was just going to bring it up a little bit. They just messed up my scorecard in 2022. I was supposed to get a state PR, personal record for my bench press, because it was 214 pounds, which at the time was the state record. And I got a good lift. And then the person messed up my scorecard because they got 314, which was my squat, confused with 214, which was the bench. And then I didn't realize that until later on in the meet when I checked my scorecard. And I was like, hey, you guys never said anything about my state record, besides the video announcer, or the announcer person for the lift said it's a state PR attempt. I thought maybe I was going to get drug tested, or they were going to check my wraps or my gear or whatever. And then they never said anything. They were like, oh, no, you're fine. We'll let you know. We'll send it to you in the mail. And then I never got anything in the mail. We emailed them, my coach and I, and they said, unless you have video of them checking your equipment after the lift, then it's considered not a good lift. And I didn't know that at the time. So that was a lived and learned opportunity and lesson, I should say. So, who knows? I think that was an accident, but who knows? Was someone trying to sabotage my state PR attempt just because I look like a woman or whatever? Who knows? So I'm not saying that's the reason why I quit powerlifting, but that did leave a bad taste in my mouth. And I think that anyone in this situation as a whole, I don't think we all need to quit powerlifting. I think we need to raise our voices in powerlifting to make the sport better. Boom. Because we all would love to see it in the Olympics or covered on ESPN or Sports Channel News, whatever. We would love to see it because it represents strength. I mean, squat, bench, and deadlift. Maybe they're not as sexy lifts as Olympic weightlifting, but it's still complete power. It's strength beyond compare. It's lifting a barbell in 3 different ways: squat, bench, deadlift, and lifting to the best of your ability. I think it's cool just because there's so much that goes into it that people don't see: the training, the years, the, just supplementation, having to have a coach, just accountability, going to the gym sometimes twice a day. there's so much that goes into it, and we're not really getting paid either. So a lot of people are quitting because unless you have a sponsorship with a supplement company or like apparel or something, like you're not getting paid. So I think that's the other controversy for another day. But thank you so much for listening. I know this podcast was a little bit longer, but it was a more important podcast, and I don't care how long it was going to take for me to tell everybody about what's going on, because like we need to do better. The IPF needs to do better, and I hope that other organizations take this and learn from it as well. And I'm waiting to hear back about like are these lifters going to be able to maybe get another chance, or what they're going to do. I have no idea. But again, if you have any questions, if there's something that I left out or you want me to speak on something else, you can DM me on Instagram at powerfulhippie or send me an email, haley.powerfulhippie@gmail.com. Let me know. Again, I'm open. I'm always open. If you ever want to come on the podcast, we can definitely talk about your options there, whether that be like a video, kind of like long distance thing, remote thing, or if you wanted to physically come in person and talk with me, I would love that. Again, if you can like, share, subscribe to my channel and Spotify, it's under the Powerful Pod. My YouTube channel is just Powerful Hippie. I really appreciate that. I am no longer also random. Redcon dropped all of their ambassadors. I'm no longer affiliated with Redcon. I'm not a Redcon athlete or anything like that. I was just an ambassador helping them promote their supplement company, but they're no longer doing the ambassador program, just athletes. So that's another change too. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so proud of you for taking the first step in whichever this new journey may be. And I just want you to know that you are amazing and you are powerful. Bye, y'all.